Hello. I realize that everybody is probably working, so many people who hop on this will probably be catching the replay, which is totally fine, but I wanted to get on here and explain a little bit about the business that I just started a few weeks ago called Innergy LLC. And hopefully if somebody can pop on here and let me know if the sound is good. Hi Caitlin, girl, I was like praying that you would be on here so you could tell me if the sound was good and if the video is good. Hi Kate. Just because sometimes there are glitches and issues with Facebook Live, and so I never know quite how it's working. And wow, they have updated this a lot. Hi Alice, hi Gloria, hey Trevor. This looks so different. Okay, so I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about what Innergy LLC is, and I'm nervous because I haven't been on Facebook Live a lot, and it's kind of like when you don't exercise a muscle, it's like scary and it gets weak again, and so that's kind of how I feel about this Facebook Live. I'm like over here with my palms sweating. I have my Starbucks though, so I'm good to go, I think. So really, for me, this business started because one of my passions in life, obviously, is to help people. It's the reason that I became an OT. But one of the things that I've really realized in the health field is that we do not look at people as a whole. We kind of look at them like, basically, what is insurance going to pay for, and we do that and nothing else. And I am a huge believer that the things that we need to really help us are holistic based, and that really we need to kind of look into ourselves to find the things that we're missing and get more in tune with ourselves. So I think that in today's society, what we do is buffer a lot of the times. Thank you, Alice. We buffer when we don't want to feel something, when we don't want to acknowledge something, when we're going through a really tough time, when life is just not fair, we buffer. And by buffering, I mean we literally will do anything not to feel it, anything not to feel that emotion, that sadness, that anger, that defeat, that fear. We really just bury it all. Now, what happens when we do that over the course of 5, 10, 15 years, whatever, on and on and on, is we really lose that connection with ourselves. We really, we're not in tune with who we're meant to be and our potential and what we're capable of achieving and doing in life. And so a lot of this too will stem from this hair. Can you guys see this? This is just driving me absolutely crazy. But a lot of this will stem from events in childhood. So a lot of the beliefs that are formed in our life happen when we are really young children, and it's based on how we're raised, what our parents believed, who was present, who wasn't present. Like, there's all these factors, and then we form these beliefs and we carry them into adulthood, and they don't always serve us. But the biggest thing that I'm seeing too is that we love to blame other people for where we are in life. It feels better. It feels better to blame outside circumstances and people for where we are or where we aren't. And so you just combine all of that, you know, over the course of a decade plus, and you just get to the point where you don't even recognize yourself in the mirror. And that's honestly how I felt. Hi, Anthony. So I got to a place in my life last year, hi, Jess, where I felt so disconnected from myself. I felt so outside of my body. Like, if anybody has ever suffered with like anxiety, depression, fear, sadness, like all the things, and sometimes you don't even know where it's coming from, but you have this feeling of like, I don't have control over my body, I don't have control over my emotions, I don't have control over, you know, my anxiety. Like, that is how I felt at the beginning of last year when I was really trying to figure out what is it that I really want to do, what is it that I'm really passionate about, who am I? I feel like I don't even know who I am when people really ask. Like, just felt like I was out of control. And I didn't realize that the reason that I felt out of control was because I was buffering my feelings away. So we can buffer, and I've talked about this a little bit before in a different live, but we buffer in a multitude of ways. I think the common ones that we think of are people who buffer with like overeating, drinking alcohol to numb the pain, you know, smoking a cigarette to calm the anxiety, using drugs because it's just easier for them, right? Like there's no judgment in what people choose to do, but we buffer. But one of the things that we forget about as buffering is social media. So when I read a book last year that said people these days will tend to buffer with social media and not even realize that they're buffering because it's so easy to scroll for hours and hours on end on social media and look at other people's lives. And it was that first light bulb aha moment for me. It was like, oh my gosh, that's why I'm on my phone all the time. I bet I'm buffering. And I didn't even know what I was buffering about. I just knew that I could spend countless time on social media. So I really took a step back and started sitting with myself, sitting still, being very silent, like practicing meditation. And through that, all of these things that were buried in my subconscious, all these thoughts came bubbling up to the surface. And I realized at that point that how much we press our emotions down. Like, I don't want to feel that, I'm going to buffer. I don't want to feel that, I'm going to have a glass of wine. I don't want to feel that, let me go drink something else. I don't want to feel that, let me go do this. And so that's our form of making it go away. But we're not actually fixing the issue. And I feel I've learned this, like with having clients now and talking to a lot of people, that it seems to be the same way with anxiety. So I have this theory, and I could be wrong, nobody has to agree with me, but I have this theory that people who have immense amount of anxiety are people who are very strong feelers. Like they really are very empathetic. They are strong feelers, but they don't know how to like manage the thoughts that go along with it. And so it becomes overwhelm. And in, you know, our world, there's a pill for everything. And I'm not against any kind of like medication and things that people have to be on, right? Because who am I to say? I'm not a doctor. But I do think that we throw pills for every little thing instead of looking at it from a holistic point of view. And so the challenge for me in my life when I had all this anxiety like bubbling up to the surface was, how can I manage this without going to the doctor? Because I knew that if I went to the doctor, he was going to put me on something, like for real. I felt like, and I don't know how anybody else feels with anxiety, but I know my anxiety, I felt like I was coming out of my skin. Like I felt like I didn't own my body. I didn't know up from down, left from right. Like I could not think. I was just a nervous wreck all the time, and I was fearful for things that I could not pinpoint. And I was just like, if I go to the doctor, they're gonna put me on something and they're gonna like send me to the loony bin, because like I was coming out of my skin. And so I thought about, how can I really help with this anxiety without having to be put on something? Well, what I learned through sitting with myself is that if you sit long enough, you will be bombarded with all the thoughts that are causing that anxiety that's like buried deep within. So I would have a thought, and my initial reaction would be to reach for my phone, because if I reached for my phone and I could scroll through Facebook, I could make that feeling go away temporarily, right? It would come back later when I got off my phone, but for the time being, it would feel better. So it's the same reason that people use drugs or alcohol or overeat when they're not hungry, things like that, because we don't want to feel our feelings. But in doing it enough, what I learned was, if instead of running away from it, that I could feel it and sit with the discomfort and how painful it was to sit with it, if I could just do that long enough, all of it would eventually become clear of why it was happening in the first place. Now, I don't know if any of you all are familiar with coaching or anything like that, but there's basically what's called a model, and you look at it from the point of, you have a circumstance. That circumstance is whatever's going on in your life, so you can't always control your circumstance, right? But then your circumstance causes a thought. or multiple thoughts. Like we have like, I think something crazy, like 80,000, 90,000 thoughts a day. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Meredith. Hi, Maggie. And so we have a crazy amount of thoughts per day. Well, those thoughts, based on our circumstances, create feelings in our body. That feeling in our body is what leads to action or inaction. And then that inaction or action is what creates our results in life. So basically, our thoughts are always responsible for the way that we're feeling. So I really looked at, okay, I feel anxiety. So it doesn't just come out of nowhere. What is the thought that I'm having that's causing the anxiety? And I had to sit with it in a very uncomfortable manner for quite a while before the thought was like, I imagine it as like bubbling all the way up. Like you think about 20 years ago, something buried deep in your subconscious, and it would like bubble all the way up, and it would just come to my brain like a little light bulb, like here it is. And I would be like, really? I'm having anxiety over that? Like that happened so long ago. But that's what kept happening over and over and over again. Now, when I sat with myself long enough and I continued to do the work, instead of having all the anxiety and fear, I started getting kind of like answers on what my next move was. And that's what led to starting my business, Innergy LLC, is because I realized that the work really comes from looking deep, deep, deep within yourself. Like getting to know yourself at a soul level, sitting in that silence, letting everything bubble up to the surface that you've been trying to push down and not feel for however long. And so when I began really asking, like, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Hi, Rika. I got like this answer that I need to get back into my Reiki. So I've been doing Reiki since 2011, but I had never practiced it on other people. I'd only ever used it for myself. And it was definitely not the path that I thought that I was going to take. So when it came up, it was very interesting. And I had asked my fiance Cortez if I could do a Reiki session on him, because it had been, you know, I don't know, 4-5 years, I guess, since I had used it consistently. And so I had a coaching call that night. I only had about 30 minutes to do this Reiki session on him. And he's like, he obviously supports and believes in me and everything like that, but I think with Reiki, it's energy healing. He was kind of like, I really don't know what to expect from this. And so I had him lay down and I checked his chakras. Now your chakras are the energy centers within your body. You have 7 of them. And they can become blocked. And the blockages occur whenever you've had traumatic events or things that have kind of circumstances that have come up that you can't control, things that have stressed you out. And usually what happens when a chakra is blocked is it can sometimes manifest itself into physical symptoms. So people might start having migraines, stomach pain, other things, and think that something's really, really wrong, when the reality of it is could be that energetically they are completely blocked in that area based on something that's happened in their past that they haven't dealt with yet. So I'm checking Cortez's chakras, and he has like a few that are blocked. And so we do an exercise to open it up, and I do the Reiki session on him, and I didn't have time to ask him how it went, you know, what he thought, anything like that. So I went upstairs and he fell asleep. That's usually what happens when people receive a Reiki session, is they fall asleep, or you become really, really relaxed because everything is in working order again, the way that it should be. Hi, Taylor. And so he fell asleep. I went upstairs and I did my coaching call. And the next morning I got up, I went to work. I didn't get to see him to see like, how was it? So I kind of thought, it was probably not helpful at all. So he comes home from work the next day, and he has this very suspicious look on his face. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I want to tell you something, but I don't want you to get a big head. And I'm like, okay. And so he tells me that he goes, whatever you did, I don't know what you did. It was Reiki, by the way. He goes, but whatever you did, for the first time in 8 years, I woke up this morning without anxiety and pain in my chest. He goes, I have woken up with anxiety and pain in my chest every single day for the last 8 years. And I don't know what you did yesterday, but I'm telling you that I woke up and it was gone. I feel nothing. I don't I don't understand it, and you're freaking me out. And I was like, okay, that's great to know, you know? So that has happened multiple times. Like on every session that I have done Reiki energy healing on someone, it's never the same scenario, because the thing about Reiki is you get what you need. I don't know what you need. I'm just the vessel that the energy transfers through to give you whatever you need. And if you want more information on that, I can send you a link and you can read all up on it. But basically, whatever that person needs in their life is what they will receive through a Reiki session. And I have had so many crazy experiences with clients who are like, I don't know what you did, but holy cow. Or like, I had a friend that actually had a really sore throat. Like we were hanging out, and before I left, I just did a Reiki session on her just because she wanted to experience it. And when I got done, her sore throat that she had had because of her sinuses was like gone. She was just baffled. She was like, I don't understand it. And I said, it's not actually me. So it's the Reiki energy healing. So very interesting stuff. But the reason that I think that this is really important, this is the work that I want to do in the world, is because I really think that holistic healthcare is something that we need to be more understanding of. I think that we were given everything on this planet that we actually need, and we've gotten so far away from it that we don't really know how to fix the issue. But it really comes from understanding what's happening at an inner level, if that makes sense. And so what I love about the Reiki sessions is that when I check someone's chakras, there's almost always at least 1 to 2 chakras blocked. And, you know, I will have them do an exercise and I'll do the Reiki session. But afterwards, depending on what package they got, if we have enough time to talk about it, I will read to them what those chakra blockages mean. And every time, I've yet to have anybody, every single time, they are looking at me blown away. They're like, that is everything that is happening in my life right now. Or that is something that has been really bothering me for like the last few months or the last few years. Or it's like they might not understand it at first, and I'll kind of like walk them through it. And then they have a light bulb moment and they know why there's that blockage. It's so mind-blowing. If you've never had it done, I'm just telling you, it's crazy. And it's really powerful to see somebody have that light bulb moment, because once they realize why there's a blockage, then they can begin working on it. And so that is the Reiki part of Innergy LLC. And that's like the main thing that I lead with in this business that I've started. The second half of that is the transformational coaching, because what I realized was it's kind of rude to do a Reiki energy session on someone and help them realize what blockages they have in their life, and then be like, okay, well, here's your issues, peace out, like I don't have time to deal with you anymore, goodbye. Like, that is just crazy. So the thing that's really important to me too is that if somebody didn't even know there was a blockage because they buried it that deep, like they don't want to feel any of this, and they've kind of been the way that I was, which is put on your big girl panties and handle it. Like, you don't have to let the world see that you're going through all this stuff, right? You kind of like put on whatever brave face that you have to put on and you just handle life. That's great and dandy, but a lot of times that means that there's a lot of stuff buried deep within. And so I didn't want people who have done basically what I've done, and to realize what blockages they have, and then be overcome with all this emotion and all of these things that have happened in their life, and then not have somebody to walk them through that if they are wanting to work further on themselves, if they're wanting to expand their personal development, if they're wanting to expand their mindset, if they're wanting to actually move through it in life. And so that's the second half of the business that is offered for people if they're interested in it, is having me coach them through that stuff based on all the life coaching and personal development that I've done for the last almost 4 years. So I think that that's really important too, because I don't want to leave anybody hanging who may be going through something really, really tough and need somebody to walk them through it and not have somebody there to understand and walk them through it. Because I know that in my life, my coach was huge for all of that. Like, she walked me through everything and helped me basically put a mirror in my face and helped me realize the things that I could change and the things that I couldn't, and where I was blaming versus where I was taking responsibility, and the things that were going to help me really excel as a person in life and just take responsibility and know that I can create and change excuse me, anything that I want. But personal development is like the hardest work, because I think in life we love to say, well, I'm this way because of so-and-so, or I do this because of so-and-so, or I was raised this way, so that's why I believe that. And, you know, we have all of these reasons why we are the way that we are, and we don't always take responsibility. But what's really important is that until we take responsibility for where we're at, what we believe, our thoughts, our actions, we can't change any of it. And so I think that the reason this work is very, very powerful is because what I am doing for people through this business is helping them reconnect with themselves at a very deep soul level, and know that every problem that they feel that they have can be fixed just by themselves. Like, they don't need anybody else to really fix it for them. You can do it all on your own, but you have to dig deep. And so what this business is about peeling back all the layers of all the things. You think about it, like death can block your chakras, divorce, block chakras, relationship problems, block chakras, like all the things. And the reason this is a big deal is because we are made up of energy. Everything in the world is made up of energy. So the way that you communicate with other people, you don't even have to introduce yourself verbally to somebody before they feel your energy. That is how we actually communicate silently, is through our energy and the way that you show up in the world. And so you want to have really great energy when you show up. And all the things that have happened in your life can really block that and block you from blossoming and reaching your fullest potential. So this work, whether you are looking to me just to understand the energetic blockages and work on the energy, or you're working on you know, having someone coach you through it and doing all the mindset work, whatever it is for you, it's about peeling back all the layers and allowing all those things that you've buried for years to bubble up and come out without buffering, without using social media to not feel it, without self-medicating, without drinking, without all the things. Like, and I'm not telling you not to do all of those things. I'm just telling you that we will work on recognizing when we're buffering because we don't want to feel versus doing something just because you want to do it. And a lot of times we do all those things because we don't want to feel. So this is a huge thing about feeling and getting in tune with yourself and reconnecting with yourself at a soul level. So if anybody has questions about any of that, feel free to message me. I plan to kind of do this, I do it based on an appointment, but like, for instance, if I have a client that's in Louisville, I will open up my day to see other people in Louisville that day. So I'll announce like, hey, I'm going to be in Louisville because I've already booked a client. So you don't have to wait ever to find out when I'm going to be, like in Louisville or Georgetown or Lexington or any of those things. You can always reach out to me and book your own appointment. And then when I'm going to be in that area anyways, I just expand it so I can get to as many people as possible. And it's really powerful. And the announcement that I have not spilled the beans on is that I never thought that I would go to school ever again. But I am going to actually be going into massage therapy school. Because there are some states that do not allow you to practice Reiki without a massage license, even though that's not the case in Kentucky and Indiana. And so I was going to get it to have it anyways, but what that allows me to do is to expand my woo. I call all of this woo because for some people it just like goes right over their head. But that it allows me to be able to do cranial sacral therapy and all the other woo things that are very, very beneficial in the holistic health realm. So this is really about taking charge of your life and your mental health and your mindset and becoming the best person that you can be, and understanding when when you're not getting the result you want energetically, what is that? What is the blockage? Why can't you move through something? Why are you having trouble forgiving somebody? Why do you feel all the anxiety? It's really peeling all the layers to get to the root. That is what we're doing with Innergy LLC. We're getting to the root. So whether you've gone through, really horrible life experiences, childhood traumas, deaths in your family of really loved ones and close ones, divorces, relationship breakups, like you just don't understand why all of this is happening, that is what Innergy LLC is to do, because I really truly care about people's mental health and well-being, and I don't think that we have enough people looking at it on a holistic way that aren't just throwing pills and prescriptions at people and saying, here, this makes you better. I want to actually fix it, not cover it, if that makes sense. I really want to help you fix it and get to the root of it and not just cover the problem. So I'm really passionate about it. If you have any questions, please message me. I have price sheets for everything, whether it's coaching or the Reiki. And then once I, obviously get done with massage school, then I can do massage on you guys as well, and cranial sacral therapy, and I'll just be expanding my practice. And, a lot of this OT is very holistic as well. But insurance dictates everything. And I remember when I worked at the hospital, they would always say, well, you can't do that because insurance won't pay for that. And I'm talking about even just having person-to-person relationships. Like sometimes a patient just needs you to sit at their bedside and talk them through something. If you have a cancer patient or, a patient going through a really rough time, sometimes they just need somebody there to listen and guide them through it. And I remember being told all the time, even at a children's hospital, wanting to snuggle the kids who had such traumatic backgrounds, who, had been abandoned, who had parents on drugs, and were having trouble getting clean. My instinct would tell me they just need to feel safe. They just need to feel loved. I just need to hug on them and love on them. And then when I build a relationship with them, then they'll trust me and we can do therapy. And I remember getting told so many times, well, you can't do that because insurance won't pay for it. Insurance isn't going to pay for you to snuggle a child. Insurance isn't going to pay for you to not be doing something productive. And I remember thinking, like, this is the part of OT that's not going to work for me, because if I can't help people with what they actually need because somebody needs extra money in their pocket, like to dictate what we do in a medical field, then I don't know what to do. And so this has been such an amazing journey. If you all saw my post the other day about how this was my dream 4 years ago and I didn't even know how to make it possible, and every little decision for the last 4 years has led me to realizing that I could create the business of my dreams to really help people one-on-one. So I am really excited, and I hope that you all have an amazing day. And if you need anything, please feel free to reach out if you have questions. You explained it so well. You will help so many. I'm excited for you. And thank you, Alice. Thank you, Karen. So I will talk to you all later. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.